Our boot camp plan is on our portal, all right? And on the portal, you will see a study schedule. But what I also want to talk to you about is Adapt-A-Bar. What's Adapt-A-Bar? Adapt-A-Bar is a supplemental MBE question bank. Questions that were released from the bar exam. The students rave about it. Alumni, after they've received their result that they have passed, they will tell you that that is one of the best supplemental programs. It's only MBE questions. They are very challenging. They are very difficult. And what the students tell us, those questions are most like the MBE portion of the bar. So what you'll be doing is, as you're going through our boot camp schedule, you'll be using your bar review company, all right? You'll be doing their questions, and then you'll also be supplementing with Adapt-A-Bar questions. The schedule will tell you clearly when you exchange both of these resources. First of all, we do it because we don't want you to get used to only doing one type of questions set. Second of all, we want you to be able to do different types of questions so you can be adaptable with different levels of difficulty and also different styles of writing. We don't want you to show up to the bar and be shocked because the questions that you're doing on the bar is nothing like your bar review company. That could happen, folks, specifically for the Florida portion. And I want to let you know also, for the Florida portion, most students, through our plan, you run out of questions. What we tell you to do is just repeat the questions over again. All right, so there's no other supplemental question bank that we know of thus far that will help with the Florida portion. But believe me, if we do find a question bank that we feel is good, we will let you know where that question bank is and where to find it and how to utilize it. So Adapt-A-Bar, you'll be able to access that via online. It's an online program, and it has really pretty colors, which is nice. Red for not too good, green for great, yellow for okay. You're not as good as you need to be, but it will give you those colors. It has a little graph and everything, very nicely done, that will help monitor your progress with your MBE questions. It'll show you where your weak areas are. And we, as your bar prep team, have an opportunity to also look and see how you're doing. So when we have questions and when we talk to you, we can see your performance. You should get an email should you choose to participate and have Adapt-A-Bar. It'll be $330. That's all, folks. That's the best and the cheapest money you'll ever pay for a supplemental bar prep company. $330. You'll have a specific Stetson discount. You'll be able to access that, and more information regarding how you access that will be emailed to you from our bar prep team. Now, along with our study schedule, we also have an essay grading program. We have a former bar exam grader. Her name is Tara Koch, and you've had an opportunity to look at her video. If not, you will, where she goes over the essay grading process and how that works. So I don't need to stay on that topic other than to tell you we highly encourage you to participate in the essay grading program. All right? Now, you'll have coaches, so you'll be assigned a coach, and BPP stands for Bar Prep Mentor, Bar Prep Pal, which is a mentor. Bar Prep Pal will be an a person who has graduated from Stetson, and Sharon Billsborough, who's our administrative specialist. She's fantastic. She is in charge of matching you up to a bar prep pal. Now, it could be a professor, it could be a staff on campus, it could be someone who has graduated and gone through the bar prep process. Whoever it is, you can speak with Ms. Billsborough about it, but she's great in matching individuals with like interests and that type of thing. And that is at your discretion. We will send out an email and tell you or ask you, would you like one? And then we'll tell you how to apply for one. You don't have to have one. If you don't, that's fine. But we want to have an extra source of support for you as you go through this bar prep process. So now it's time to get more in depth into the boot camp schedule. Here is the boot camp schedule. Now, it first starts off with instructions. I want to encourage you to read the entire instructions. We do our best to send the boot camp schedule out to you at least a month prior to your graduation date. That means you have an entire month to read through the boot camp schedule. And a lot of the information that I'm telling you today is on here, but there's also a lot of information that I may not mention today that you will read as you read it in the schedule. All right? So it's very important because it'll tell you about your assignments. As we develop the boot camp schedule, we abbreviate things. We have assignments, as you can see right here. You can see what read certain amount of pages, X amount of pages means, and complete outline. It tells you about distinctions and where to find them, issue spotting, what that means, lectures, how many questions you should do, all right? So we have that information here for you. We want to encourage you to read it. Every semester, there's constantly changes that are happening with Barview companies, and sometimes where to find things may change. So we do our best to keep these schedules as updated as possible. If there is an area that's incorrect, feel free to let us know, because it's very quick and it's very fast, and sometimes Barview companies may change things even during the process, all right? But most Barview companies have an online component, and then also materials that are sent to you. Most, I can't tell you that all of them do, but most of them will have both. All right, so I want to encourage you to read questions. When it talks about doing a certain amount of questions in 30 minutes, all right, that means those question sets are timed question sets. All right, whereas when it shows you to do 25 questions one at a time, we want to encourage you to just do one question, then go to the answer, read the answer, then do your next question, then go to the answer. And when I mean go to the answer, I mean go to the answer explanation. After you've chosen your answer, go to the explanation. But it's very clear, as you can see it here in the schedule. We've spent a lot of time writing it out to be as clear as possible. The purpose of doing it one at a time in the beginning is to help you learn from the questions. Now, here's a question that we get from many students. Some students will tell us, well, you know, it's a little confusing because I'm doing these 25 questions, but they don't coincide with my reading assignments. Because we'll tell you to read 25 pages or 30 pages, all right? And then you follow with an application, with a skill. Now, there is a learning pedagogy that is built into our boot camp schedule. In other words, we don't just haphazardly put it together. There's actually learning tools, ways to learn that will help you, which is why our program is so fantastic when you follow it. Now, as I said, you do not have to follow the Stetson boot camp schedule. However, if you choose not to follow it, it's all right. Don't be embarrassed. Reach out to your bar prep coach so they can let you know what are the certain attributes that are built in the plan that you can continue to do even if you choose not to utilize our plan. However, we ask that you use our plan because we believe it is a great resource for you. A lot of energy and effort was put into it, and we've seen a lot of success. So back to the plan. I just want to go over specific instructions. So you may have to read questions, like read certain amount of pages, 25 pages, let's say, but yet when you do your question sets, they don't coincide with the pages that you've read, because if you read the first 25 pages and your question sets deals with an area of law that you would have read through pages 26 to 50, do not worry. The reason why we tell you to do the questions one at a time is because you learn by doing the question sets. That is a learning tool. That is a learning tool that will help you begin to memorize the black letter law. So in other words, if you're not getting it through the outline material, you're able to get it through the question set through application. I can't stress that enough. So those of you that are in my multi-stage strategies class, you understand that that's what I teach as part of systematic problem solving and as a way to learn the black letter law and to embed it into your muscle memory. So let's move further down. Okay, here are the reading assignments, and what may be helpful as you're going through the reading assignments is what some students will do, they'll complete it, or they'll mark it out or do something that shows that they've completed it. That'll help you from looking back and seeing, okay, how much you've completed. All right. We talk about, I want to specifically focus on the issue spotting. One page is on issue spotting. I want you, prior to the bar prep program beginning, look over the issue spotting one pager to find out how to issue spot. It is one of the most important parts of the bar prep schedule because that's a way that you enforce memorization of the law for the Florida portion of the essay, all right? Issue spotting. So these are one pagers right here, as you see, that will help give you more information about what to use and how to use it. When it comes to our essays and the essay checklist, right? The essays, we have a checklist that we have created for you, which is pretty phenomenal because we've done a lot of the legwork for you. However, some of you are more kinesthetic learners and you like to write things out. So what we've done is we have for you on the bar prep portal 2 essay options in terms of checklist. One that's really abbreviated, condensed. We took a whole entire outline and condensed it into about 4 or 5 pages. But we also have what's called as a skeleton outline, which you yourself, as you're reading, can begin to fill it in, and that's a way to get into your muscle memory the Florida section of the law. I think it's a pretty fantastic idea. I'm glad we have that for you, all right? So, like I told you before, we want you to make this plan your own. Don't be afraid to manipulate the plan to make it fit more of how you study. But we ask that you do so under the instruction of your bar prep coach because we know what the factors in the plan are. We know why certain things in the plan are important, and so we want to encourage you to continue to do those things, even though you may not do all the attributes, but to do those things and use it as a guide. So let's get into the calendar. And even on here, you'll have your thresholds as to the percentages, which I went over. It's right here. Here's how to get in touch with all of us. That'll be on the plan, your bar prep coach, as well as your bar prep pal connection right there. Now let's get into the actual calendar itself. Here it is, folks, the moment you've been waiting for. You start your bar prep regardless of whether it's in the winter because you've graduated in December, or in the summer because you've graduated in May. Regardless, you start it. We will start it the day after graduation. So let me explain to you a couple things. We want to make sure that you are ready to go the day after graduation. And what that means is you have read all the information that you need to read. You are ready and you are able to start on day 1. So when it comes to vacationing or anything, bar prep time is not the time to vacation. You'll have plenty of time to vacation once you pass the bar. So if you want to go on a quick vacation, do it prior to graduation. But when it comes to graduation, you want to start the day of. If you have family members coming to town, remember I told you about that talk you need to have? Let your family members know that they need to be out of the house, all right? Those that are visiting, I'm saying, not those that are living with you, okay? Those that are visiting, coming in for your graduation, whatever the case may be, it's time for them to go. You love them. It's time for them to go. But the day bar prep starts, you need to be ready and on the ball. You're going to start off with a 100-question diagnostic exam. It's going to show you where you are in the beginning of the bar prep process, because we are expecting that when you're halfway through the bar prep process, you are still not you are not still at that score that you first scored on that diagnostic exam. Why am I saying this? Because it does happen to some students, folks, and in their first MBE diagnostic exam, they're no higher than they were when they took that first diagnostic exam. That is a problem, folks. That is a problem, all right? And we're going to tell you throughout your bar prep process what score you should be getting at every diagnostic exam, whether it's Florida or MBE. We're going to tell you that. So you're going to know where you are. So by the time you walk into the bar, you're going to have a good idea of where your score is and where you should be scoring. Passing the bar is not rocket science, folks. If you know where you are every step of the process, you can pretty much know where your score is going to turn out, all right, after you have completed the bar. So I want to encourage you, be ready to go on day one. In other words, no getting your bar prep books in the second week of bar prep, all right, because that has happened, all right, or you can't get distracted. Don't take vacations. Please don't plan on moving in the middle of bar prep, okay? Please don't plan on getting married in the middle of bar prep. I know that's probably, maybe it's difficult for some of you. If your soon-to-be spouse is very anxious to marry you, marry that person prior or afterwards, not during. Why am I saying this, folks? Because it has happened. Folks who have chosen to get married during bar prep and then they failed. It's a waste of time. You spend all this time on bar prep. Remember where I talked about managing your time and your schedule? This is what I'm talking about. Remember I told you about having the talk? Have the talk as soon as possible. Let folks know around you, any and everybody that's going to be affected by this bar prep process, what this means to you, and that you're not trying to be antisocial, but what you need to do to be successful. You must be ready on day one. And since we'd like for you to start with an early bar prep plan, you'll be speaking to your bar prep coach, and they'll be telling you the things that you need to do to make sure that you're even ready prior to this bar prep process. So you're going to start the day after graduation. And here you see, as you can look on this schedule, you can see blocks, you can see you can see, I should say, subject blocks. So let's just take, for example, contracts and sales. And then we've got wills. Yes, you will do, which we call as interleaving. You will learn multiple subjects at the same time. It is a better way to ingrain the subject area in your muscle memory. However, as you can see, you'll see the subject area, MS means multi-state very clearly, FL means Florida. Multi-state is tested differently than Florida topics, all right? Multi-state is tested with multiple choice questions. If a Florida topic is tested in an essay, it'll clearly show. If it's tested in multiple choice, it'll clearly show. And you'll see that you'll read a certain amount of questions followed by doing application exercises, which will either be issue spotting exercises, Florida contracts, read distinctions, do the issue spotting exercise, or you'll do multiple choice questions, read 30 pages, do 25 multiple questions, one at a time, all right? Then you'll see the lectures. The lectures will clearly show. We want you to, that's a block because lectures are usually 3 to 4 hours, so you'll see that block right here, all right? Now, when it comes to the essay grading program, we want to tell you that you'll see this writing in red. We'll tell you which essay checklist to review as you're going throughout the week. And each week will give you a hint as to which essay checklist you should do. However, further down in the program, the essay questions will actually be due, as you can see by the numbers. And it says essay 1. That means this essay is due no later than midnight that night. The plan is structured where you have 6 days of study and 1 day off to rest. That 1 day off usually encompasses an essay. that essay can be done. We give you a time constraint in about an hour and a half, and then you have the rest of the essay of the day. You have the rest of the day to just take a break. You cannot spend 24 hours studying. You have to take a break. You can't study 7 days a week. You will burn yourself out. In the beginning, you're going to be so excited. You're going to want to go full speed ahead, and you're going to want to spend 10 to 12 hours per day. Don't spend that much time. We're telling you to start out and do these blocks with 4-hour blocks, all right? If at the most 4.5 each block, which will hit you at about 9 hours at the most, because some of you will have to do 12 hours or more getting closer to the bar exam in the last 2 weeks because you realize you're weak in certain areas and you need to bone up on some of your topics. But we want to advise you in the beginning, don't study more than about 9 hours per day. Make sure you're getting your rest. Eat in between the blocks. So you've got 2 blocks. Each block is 4 to 4.5 hours. In between, take a lunch break. We want you to exercise or take a walk or do those things that keep you healthy, because you'll need to be able to just get oxygen to your brain. You need to be able to eat so you can think. You'll need to be able to still take care of yourself during this bar prep process. And even with that said, it will wear you out. I'm going to tell you, it'll be exhausting physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you name it. You're going to get exhausted always. However, so many people have done it before you. And if they can do it, you can do it too. So we will also give you reminders on the Saturday night before as to when the essay is due. Remember, so as I said, it says, hey, your essay grading is due tomorrow, and as I said, you'll have until midnight that night. You'll also see where we add page tips. The page tips will tell you what you may need to do, whether it's if you've got an essay. The page tips will tell you that you make sure you're doing your timed question sets, and let me explain that to you. Here's a question block. The program is designed so that in the beginning, you look at all the lectures, you read all of the outlines, and then at the end, you begin to do nothing but question sets. As you see here, you'll see question sets. You'll also see MBE question sets, Florida question sets, and you also see issue spotting exercises all lumped together. This means you've completely completed the material, and now you're just applying it. You have to do the 18 questions in 30 minutes, and then you take the other 30 minutes and you review the answer choices. In other words, this is timed. This is timed so that when you're practicing for the bar, you're within the time constraints that you need to be in. This block here is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 hours, and then you've got another block of 4 hours. That is an 8-hour day. All right? So as you get closer, you'll start to see more simulated exams. You'll have an MBE simulated exam when you follow with an analysis. Then you'll have a Florida simulated exam and follow with a day of reviewing all the question sets. So the first Florida and the first MBE exam you take, you're going to review all of the answer explanations regardless if you got it right or wrong. The second one, all right, that you take, or third or fourth, depending on how many you need to take, you're not going to review all of the answer choices. You're just going to review the ones you have wrong, because at that point you're just trying to bone up on your weak subjects and where you need to do more. Okay? So as I stated before, as you start looking at this area here, which is in the page tips, will tell you what you need to do, all right? When you'll need to do your adaptive bar questions, when you need to do your bar review companies questions, and you'll be able to blend those together. All right, any other questions that you have that pertains to this schedule, how to manipulate it, how to make sure it works for you, all right? First, read through the instructions. First, read through the instructions that we've given you. Second, if you have any other questions more than that, reach out to your bar prep coach. Don't hesitate. If you choose not to use the Stetson bootcamp schedule, it's okay. Just connect with us. Tell us what you're going to do. We're not going to be upset. It's all right. We're not going to be angry. Connect with us. Tell us what you're going to do. We'll make sure that the components and whatever you're doing is what you need to do, and then we can monitor your progress that way. If you are going to use the schedule and you want to manipulate it in a way, reach out to us. If you are going to use the schedule and when you want to use it exactly like we've suggested you use it, that's fantastic too. So we want you to own your success. We are so excited that you are at the end of your 3-0 year and you are ready to face this exam head on. Those of you that have had an opportunity to take survey of Florida law and my multi-state strategies class, you are well ahead the game because you have gotten a lot of the tools, the skills that are needed to do very well. Excuse me. Those of you that have not, it's okay. You can learn it during this process, but we want you to reach out to your bar prep coach so you'll have the skills and everything that you need to be successful on your first attempt. So how do you contact us? You can contact us at barprep@law.stetson.edu. You can see the address for our bar prep portal where all things bar prep you can find on the bar prep portal. You can also look at our bar preparation website, which has lots of information for you to look to. Remember, those that are likely to pass are those that are in the know. They know all the information that they need to know, all right? And you can also follow us on social media. We're on Twitter. We also have a Facebook page as well. I want to congratulate you for your efforts thus far. Nothing that you have done thus far is in vain. It may seem like it, but it's not. It's just merely a stepping stone to get to that ultimate stepping stone, which is to practice as a lawyer. We know you can do it, and we know that if you follow our advice and the instruction that you have, you will pass. More than likely, I want to just say that, more than likely, you will pass on your first attempt. Thanks.